me as an athlete, me and Grace, that I train with Grace, number one in the world. I'm like, let's do 5. Because I think 10 is a little bit exaggerated. Let's do 5.
There was somebody that you really admire and you look up to.
Whoever told you it didn't, they're lying. Even Kumite people wanted to be like Antonio in some way or another as a champion.
My respect to Antonio Diaz too, a good friend. And like I say, this world is very small. I competed against Antonio when I was a kid in Venezuela many times. Walk us through a time in your career that you felt was the lowest time.
I didn't know that I want to continue karate because the emotions I felt at the Olympics, is this even worth it anymore?
Yes, a lot of times about when athletes experience that high is they get depressed. Your career with your instructors, you have probably a lot of people that influence in your life, and I'm sure you're very thankful to them. If you don't mind naming a few.
Sensei Robert, this man's brain was something else. He thought outside the box, which you didn't see in the karate world, and it was special. Sensei Javier Mantilla, he's always been very supportive when we go to the competitions. He's always there as a mental preparation, as a technical preparation. And then with Jesus, this guy's a genius. This guy took traditional karate and professional sport, blended it together, and made something special that allowed us to transcend.
After Ariel retires from competition, how do you want people to remember Ariel Torres?
So I was talking about this with my mom. I said I want to be remembered as
Before I start this episode, I'm going to ask you a quick favor. Please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, just click that button. That helps us grow the channel and that helps us grow our karate community. Our goal is to bring content to you every week. And remember, the Karate TV Day is every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we upload a new video with some amazing content. It could be a podcast, it could be a documentary, it could be an athlete highlight, dojo highlight, but the most important part is that you remember to watch. And now, enjoy this episode.
Ariel Torres, one of the biggest names in karate. Olympic medalist, world medalist, multiple times Pan American champion, multiple times K1 medalist, an impressive resume that I know it comes from hard work and a lot of dedication. Everybody can see your accomplishments in paper, but if I have to ask you, how would you describe Ariel Torres in 3 main points?
someone that never gave up, someone that kept training, someone that believes everything happens for a reason, and just loves karate.
Just love karate. I think that's a big one. When you love something that much, you put everything you got into it, and I'm sure that's your case. Ariel, in our careers, I know you're still young and you have a lot of career ahead of you, but so far, what could be a moment that you can describe as one of the most important moments or highest moment in your karate career as a competitor?
Something that, of course, my Olympic medal, of course, Pan American champion, the first time when I went against Antonio. But we were doing a documentary a few days back, and something kept coming up with my parents and myself too. I brought it up, my mom brought it up, and my dad brought it up. Was the day that I beat one of my biggest rivals, which was actually one of your students, which is very funny. When I was 9 years old, there was this kid called Derek Vo, the most amazing karateka I've ever met in my life. We could never defeat him. Years and years and years and years and years until one day we won and we won and we won. And that day that I finally won, I believed anything is possible as long as you keep working. Something that was so out of touch, so out of reach. And when I finally won, and I'm telling you, I was like 13 years old. And when I finally won, I felt like, hey, anything is possible if I keep working hard. So that one victory in my life kept me moving forward, because everyone that would beat me, I said, no, don't worry, one day it's going to come. And they would come. I would surpass them. And then the next one. And then the next one. And then it happened the day I went against Antonio in the Pan American Championship, and I won. And it happened. And it kept going. It kept going. It kept going. And I was always looking for the next person to overcome, whether it was in the world ranking by one Japanese, it was passing King Arata, it was passing Busato Mashia, it was passing Gokta Zenfree. Whoever was ahead of me in the ranking, it was, I'm going to pass them. I'm going to pass them. And now it's still like that. Now it's like the number one guy's there, and I'm like right there, biting. It's going to come. It's going to come. It's going to come. So that one moment in my life when I first got the biggest victory, that was a big victory for me personally, especially as a young man, because many kids quit karate because they lose or things don't go their way, and they don't keep going. They don't keep going. They don't keep trying. They don't keep fighting for it, you know? And when you fall in love with something, it doesn't matter how much you lose or win. You keep going. This is at least my experience.
Absolutely. Well, you bring so many memories to me. You were talking, and I was thinking and thinking. I didn't know that at all. Like what you mentioned about Derek Vo. I remember Derek, one of my students, when I had my dojo here there in Tampa, and I didn't know that any of that. What you're telling me is like something completely new to me.
I get goosebumps because we were talking about it again. They asked my mom, who was blah, 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 blah. Yeah, of course, Olympic medal. But there was this one kid, and we call him a chinito. You know, in our culture, we say chinito because he was super good. He was super good, blah. And then when they asked my dad, he's like, había un chinito. And it was like, and I'm like, you see, I'm telling you, it was this kid. This kid changed my life. And he messaged me a few years back after the Olympics. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And this kid was the guy to beat. And when I finally won, it was like anything's possible. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. That was the one.
That marked your life. That marked your life. Absolutely. And it's crazy how I think that the world is so connected that you feel that your answer will be, oh, when I beat Antonio Diaz, when I beat, Olympics, like you said, you would think about all those names, but it was a different moment. Like
that's when we talk about it right now. Of course, I go backwards. Oh, the Olympics, the World Games, the Premier Leagues. Oh my God, yes, these are great moments. The first time I beat Antonio was amazing. But I don't think if I wouldn't have defeated Derek Vo all those years back, I wouldn't have been able to keep overcoming because I overcame him. And then the next obstacle presented itself. Kyle Hicks, number 2 in the world. And I lost him one time. And then the next year I won. And then it happened again. Joseph Martinez, number 1, the next obstacle. The next year I won. Then it was, I lost to Antonio Diaz in Pan Americans. That was the next obstacle. The next year, I won. And this just kept happening like this. And I just kept overcoming the next one and the next one and the next one. They either quit karate, retired, or I passed them. I passed them in some way because they either retired or stopped or something. And that's what's been happening. And I've been able to climb like that. Now we have like Moto Kazumasa. He was top of the world at one point. Now I'm ahead. Now, again, we're trying to get that next one. And I know it's going to come. I know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And it all started that day. And it was in Las Vegas, the Junior International Cup.
Okay.
Junior Olympics back then. Yeah.
Amazing. And I know you keep talking about keep going up and going up. There is no doubt that you're going to make it. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of perseverance. I know Ariel Torres for many years, and I know what you're made of. It's a lot of dedication and passion and hard work. A few days ago, I was talking at home with my wife, and we were talking about, who's going to be in the interview? And I say, Ariel is coming.
Yeah, she showed my gi. I remember she saw the flag, the U.S. Open.
And she told me about it. She was the one who brought it. Remember, to say, you have to mention to Ariel that he had to remember at the U.S. Open. I mean, so many years ago, you were, I don't want to say the word nobody because that's not true. You were not, you were not the best in the world. You were not where you are today. And I remember, how everybody put a little bit, right? A little help and not much. You do the main part, but I'm sure your family support and everything. And that's another thing that's so important. Tell us a little bit about your family and I know we can talk for so many hours about everything, but maybe summarize what your family, what they have done to you.
I'll separate it into like 3 parts of my life, right? We have the beginning part of my life where my family took me to karate. And of course, we didn't have enough money to go to competition. So they sacrificed anything from my mom from working several jobs. She's blind by one eye. She can't do much like in that sense. So she did everything she could by cleaning houses to make money so I can travel. My dad did the same since we didn't have papers. There's not many jobs he can actually do. So he did whatever he could to make the money. And even then we didn't have enough to go travel and stuff. So we would pick up money in the street, ask for donations. And that was the first part. I saw the dedications that my parents put into this because I said, I love this and I want to do this, but I understand if we can't. And they're like, no, we're going to do this. And I was like, oh, okay, so we're going to do this. And then I saw how in they were, and I love it, of course, but I always grew up understanding. If we can't have something, I understand. More important was school and having a roof over our head and eating. But they did everything they could. So this gave me a lot of love, a lot of this feeling of strength, right? This was the first part. The second part was when I turned 16, 17 years old that we can drive in Florida. My dad gave me keys to a car that he had, and he said, that's it. Here you go. You are on your own. We were going to work, and we're going to support you, but you just drive yourself to karate and back. they had faith. Like they trust me. I never did anything. I was always like, I need to train. I need to train. I need to do this. Go to the dojo, come back super late. Go to the dojo, come back late every day like this after school. That was the second part when my parents kind of like said, "Aquí tienes la llave y ahora te toca volar. Here are the keys and go fly." And I have a competition. Now my parents don't go with me. I'm 16, 17. You can fly alone. I would buy the flight myself. I would be working in these NASCAR competitions, open circuit, right? And I would go to the little local ones, make $200, other ones $200, $300, maybe the big ones 1,000. I would give money to my parents to help them whatever way I can, so that just to deburden them, even though they didn't want it, they didn't need it. I was like, here you go, please. It just makes me feel better. And then I would use the rest of the money, travel to Series A's like this. That was the second part that I think shaped my life, my karate journey. And then the third one was when I started training with Sandra and Jesus. It was when I fell in love with karate again. 2023, September 2023. I met them. They came to my house. We trained, and I fell in love with karate in a different way. It was like falling in love with the same woman again in a different way. I was like, wow, I didn't know that this is the other part of karate, and I've been able to grow even further now because of the way I see karate, the way I train, the way I share with other people. Now, thanks to Jesus, I've been able to share with other people my karate in a different way, create a community of athletes, which we brought here to compete and all that. So it's been really, really cool that I've been able to see the karate world differently. And instead of as an athlete, as someone that helps other people, guides other people, helps them achieve something, right? So I would say those are the three different parts for me in my karate journey.
Okay, no, very interesting, and I think that kind of summarized a little bit the three main stages of your life so far, even though you're still young. But the new stage, what I see a lot too, you are doing a very, very, very good training camp in Miami. You also doing a lot of online classes, and and I think that stage is very interesting because you can pass your knowledge to somebody else, even though you still compete and you probably compete for a few more years, but passing that knowledge and that experience is priceless.
It's great, but I'm not only being selfless in the sense of like I'm giving as well, but I'm picking some great athletes from around the world, and this makes me push harder, right? So this last week we had people from Colombia, Venezuela, Switzerland, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, training together very hard. I'm tired. I can't show them I'm tired. I'm number 2 in the world. They look up to me. I have to show up at my best every single moment. I cannot make a mistake. So this is a way for me to also not let my foot off the gas and keep pressing forward. Oh, they're like, and I'm like, you guys are tired. Oh, come on, let's go, let's go. Of course, I'm tired too.
It's a way to push yourself even more in different ways, because I think the more I talk to some athletes, is like what keeps them going. They're finding ways to get motivated and get push themselves, because it's not an easy life, right? To do the things every day, all day for years.
It's just something that we learn with karate. It's not only motivation; it's the discipline, and that's something I never understood. But la disciplina. My parents always said this is like, you wake up at the same time every day, you eat the same thing every day, you train the same thing every day, and you repeat it. Why? Because you want to win. Do you want to win enough? You know what I mean? Like some people want to win, but then they're not disciplined enough to not eat the chocolate, to not go out at night, to decide, oh, am I going to go out with my friends to have dinner for some celebration? Or am I going to stay home because tomorrow I got to wake up at 6 in the morning to train? And this is what I think separates a lot of people. Discipline, discipline, discipline. Not only motivation. So yes, when we have a group of people, we have motivation and it's high and it's great. Next week, motivation is going to go down. So the only thing that you have pushing you forward is your discipline. And that's putting us in a very young age. So again, I was very lucky that I had my family at a very young age working hard. They were disciplined because they know we had to do this. I had my sister studying. She's a doctor. She's a neurosurgeon. She's studying for discovering the cure of Alzheimer's. So she's been a big inspiration because she was disciplined.
Absolutely.
It's not she's motivated. She was disciplined. She wants, and I grew up with this. So that's what I want. I want to be the best in the world. So I do everything I can. I find the people around me to come up and help me push because I want to be better. And that lasts forever, especially the days I don't want to train. It's like, oh, we want to be world champion, right? We have to do it.
Exactly. Ariel, most people like to talk about their best moments and the best memories, But walk us through a time in your career that you felt was the lowest time, or maybe one event. Anything you want to share with us about one time that you felt like, oh, something that comes to mind?
There were a few. The first one was after I won Pan American Championship that I beat Antonio. The next like 3 weeks, I lost to Antonio in round one of Morocco and Rabat, and that one hurt because I had so much expectations. I have to win. I have to win. I just beat him. Now I'm going, and I lost. I just won the Pan American Championship, my first time, and now I'm going to a Premier League facing. I just beat the world champion. I beat the number one guy in the world. That he's definitely probably going to the Olympics. People are expect something of me, and I lost, and it was one of the lowest times in my life. And then later that year, I started to do very, very well in the Series A's, in the Premier Leagues. And then in 2020, I just dropped the first three competitions of the year. I didn't get out of round one. I lost in round one in Paris, lost in round two in Dubai, lost in round three in Austria. And then in Rabat, the pandemic happened. And that one was really painful. And then pandemic happened. I trained really hard. I gained like 10 kilos of weight muscle training, and I was a new person in 2021. And then again, this is the funny thing. Life is, you're never gonna do this. So I'm like, oh, 1 point. So that was a big down, and then I went up, and then I went down again. The pandemic. Then I went up after the Olympics. Then I went after the Olympics. I went down again. I didn't know that I want to continue karate because the emotions I felt at the Olympics, winning that bronze medal was so. It felt so good that it hurt. Like, oh my God, this is amazing, the best. And then the next competition, it was a K1. I got bronze, and it was like, oh, what am I doing here? Is this even worth it anymore?
Yes, a lot of times about when athletes experience that high is they get depressed and they get into so.
I did not believe in that until I felt that, and then I saw it come up in my email like, hey, athletes, this is a real. And I was like, oh, I felt that, but I have discipline. I want to be world champion. So I'm like, okay, we got to cut that out. We got to focus. But it took a while. It took a few years to come back. And then again, that's when I told you, I fall in love with karate again because of Sandra and Jesus. It didn't become about results. And this is easy to say, oh, results, blah, 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 blah. It became more about, I learned a different way of training and a different way of approaching my karate life. And that made me fall in love with it. Example, all us athletes that do karate, we go to the dojo, and we train because our sensei guides us in the training. Our sensei is like, Ichi, ni, sanchi, da, 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 da. And then 1 hour later, class is done, everyone goes home. This is easy because our sensei tells us what to do for 1 hour or 2 hours. But what happens when we want to train at home alone? What do? How many times do we do it? I did it one time and now I'm tired. Look at the time. Oh, only 10 minutes have passed. Oh, only 2 minutes have passed. You know what I mean, right? So with Jesus, when I trained with Jesus the first time, I started noticing that there's no self-practice. He goes like, okay, 5 parts, 8 times each part, 20 seconds rest. When you finish one part, 2 minutes rest. Next part, 8 times, 20 seconds rest. So you do 1 time, 20 seconds rest, 1 time. So the whole time you're looking at the clock and those 20 seconds pass by too fast. So what once felt like took so long, 1 hour training alone, now passes by too fast because those times that you're resting, time is passing by fast. And I fall in love with this way of training of like, oh, I break my kata into parts. I do X amount of repetitions. And then it took me down a different path of karate, of like studying sports science, studying biomechanics, studying like, why are we doing 5 reps and why are we resting 2 times? So I ask Jesus, why every day? Jesus, ¿por qué? Ta, 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 ta. Jesus, Ariel, why? Okay, and then the next day I would come back with more questions and more questions and more questions. And then training camp, I would come back and Jesus, with all the patience in the world, will explain to me the hardest questions I would have. And I came up with like everything he taught me, everything I learned from other senseis, everything I learned from traveling to Japan, from all of this, I put it together under his system, modified as an athlete because I am an athlete. Right? I am an athlete. Sometimes senseis make us do stuff that they wouldn't do. A sensei goes, do 10 full katas. And I'm like, let me see you do 10 full katas. You're not going to do it, right? You see, so I'm like, okay, I understand where they're going with 10 full katas. Let's do 5. Me as an athlete, me and Grace, that I train with Grace, number 1 in the world. I'm like, let's do 5. Because I think 10 is a little bit exaggerated. Let's do 5. Blah, blah, blah. We can do 6. We can do 7. 8 will be maybe we get injured. Okay, now I know 7 is the right number. And now let's work our way up to that 10 mark. You see, like this. Let's see. So I started studying as an athlete of like not lazy and not overdoing it, because karate people are, it's crazy because it's two extremes. Either they're very lazy and very talented, or they don't have that much talent, but they work very, very hard, too hard, right? And I'm where like, I don't like to, I work hard, I work very hard, but I like to make sure I'm doing the right amount of reps. I don't want to do 10 reps if I'm going to do them bad. I'd rather do 5 perfect ones than 10 right? And Grace loves to do a lot, and she'll do them perfect. But then the body gets tired, the body gets fatigued, and there goes an injury, right? So I have to find enough that I'm working hard enough and not losing my technique, and enough that Grace is working hard enough that's letting her move towards her best, right? Because you need reps to create progression, but you also can't do too many reps that will cause harm. So you have to find the right number, right? So this is what we do, because we call it trash volume. When you get to a certain amount, you're just doing repeticiones por gusto. You're doing them for no reason. So this was the second part I fell in love with. And this is why now I can train these people and do these training camps, because I learned this and I'm testing with them and myself. Thanks to Jesus. Yeah.
Interesting. I think, along the journey, you found different people that influence your karate, and then you keep changing and keep evolving.
Yeah. And I'm making something personal now, right? That has been working, because I'm the one that does it for Grace, all her training programs, all those hours. So we're training together. I'm the one that's organizing them for her, for myself, and for all these kids now. And I feel like they're enjoying more karate, because we've been training 5 hours every single day, from the physical to the Kihon to the kata training. Every single day we've been doing 5 hours. And they tell me, "Oh my God, that class is done." And I was like, "Yeah, it's been 5 hours, guys." And they're like, they're dead, but time passed by really fast. So it's very special to me that we've been able to accomplish this.
Yes. And walk me a little bit about your career with your instructors. You have probably a lot of people that influence in your life, and I'm sure you're very thankful to them. If you don't mind naming a few, I mean, not offense. Do you forget one? You have people. So I mean, I just tell me. Yeah. Tell me a little.
Let's talk with like my senseis. Every sensei that has been in my life. I started with Al Dojo Yoshimon, Rafael Delgado. May he rest in peace. He was the owner of the dojo, and he taught karate there. And you know how dojos have different instructors. And then there was this one sensei, Tony Malvare, Luis Antonio Malvare, that he was the one that like always looked at me and paid more attention to me. I guess he saw something. And then they split up, and then I went with Tony. We call him Tony, Sensei Tony. I went with him to his dojo, and he just took me under his wing. We kept pushing, we kept training really hard. Unfortunately, back in the day, we have Shite Kata. So every style had 2 katas. Shotokan had 2, Goju-ryu had 2, Shito-ryu had 2, and Wado-ryu had 2. Shorin-ryu had nothing.
The old people like me know about it. When I competed, that was what I used to do. Yeah.
I only had to do one competition, and I think this is great, Shite Kata, but that's another topic for another day, another time, right? So my sensei Tony, he's like, "Ariel, I don't know these katas. You need to learn from someone." And then there was a sensei called Raul Shelton. He's from Texas. He's a referee. He also did Yoshimon. And one day we talked, and he's like, yeah, you need to learn like Seipai and Basaidai, one from Goju, one from Shitori, because these are the 2 main katas that we see in the international stage. And then they were talking about Robert Young, and Tony knew Robert Young. So then they sent me to Robert Young. And then I went to Robert Young and I started training there. And it was a completely other way of training. Robert Young was very good with body mechanics, how to use your body, how to create more power. Something I didn't understand, because I came from the karate world where it was just 1, 2, 3. The hand goes here, not here. And then I went to another world where Sensei Robert was teaching us, hey, this is how you move your body to create more power. And to me, it was fascinating, because it made me think. It made me not just do, it made me think. And I was like, whoa, this is great. And it took me very, very far, right? And then life happens, things move on, we separated, we went different ways. And I found Jesus, and we started training. And again, I fell in love with karate. And things have been going great. And again, like I told you, that was the second time I fell in love with karate, when I started training with Jesus. The different ways of training, the different ways of doing that. Now, there are other sensei. We've had coaches, right? Sensei Javier Mantilla, he's always been very supportive when we go to the competitions. He's always there as a mental preparation, as a technical preparation. Hey, do it like this, do it like that, adjustments. I'm thinking, right? because I don't want to miss out anyone. But I'm trying to say those main people. We've had other senseis around the world that have given me their dojo to train, given me advice. Hey, do it like this. Focus on this. So there's many, right? And so if I forget one, just know I'm thankful to all of them because everyone has put something in there, right? But I'm telling you, the guys that have really contributed like the most that I in the sense of like that has impacted me in my karate performances, right? And and now I think that the biggest change has been with Jesus and Sandra.
Just reaching another level, just getting to another
It
level.
was like I couldn't, and now I grabbed the bar and I pulled myself up, and now I'm looking at the other side, and it feels really good to be there.
It's a combination of your history, your background, your experience, everything you accomplished, and now in their hands, you guys are coming together, and it's beautiful, working very beautiful.
Thing is, like, it's normal. People in life move on, right? And sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's sad. My first sensei, Tony, and this comes out what we're talking about in the documentary too. I loved this man like a second father. We didn't end on bad terms or anything because I was training with Sensei Robert Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tony Tuesday and Thursday. But Tony noticed like, hey Ariel, you really want to chase this competition world, huh? And I was like, yeah, I really want to. And he was like, el perro tiene cuatro patas y con un solo camino. In English, a dog has four legs and it only takes one path. Which one are you gonna take? And I immediately said, I'm gonna go Robert Young. Immediately, I knew what I wanted.
Absolutely. I mean, senseis like that, I admire a lot because in their heart, it's the one what's best for you.
Yes.
It's not about them. It's not about their ego. It's not about, and I always said, all of us have a ceiling.
Yep.
All of us have, it's just how life works, right? Some people can take you to become a world champion. Some people can take you to become a national champion. Some people do, but everybody have to be humble and say, hey, let's find help. Let's go find who can help us.
So he literally sent me to Robert Young, and I was in the going back and forth. Like I was going to Tony and Robert, and then he's like, "Hey Ariel, you need to pick one." And I said, "I'm gonna go to Robert Young." And then he's like, "I understand." And I cried because it was an easy choice. It was an easy choice for me. And my parents never questioned. They're like, "Where do you want to go? You want to go there? No problem." My parents never put anything on me. They're like, "You want to go here? Okay." And then it was the same moment when I was talking to them. I'm 28 years old, and around 26, I told them, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm gonna stop training with Sensei Robert, and I'm gonna train with Jesus and Sandra." And then I'm like, "Oh, because?" And they're like, "You don't need to tell us because. It doesn't matter. Whatever choice you make is best. I know that you picked the best choice for you and your career, and I'm sure that everyone will understand that as long as you're not a bad guy. Like, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore. It doesn't work like that, right? But it was like as long you know what you want in life, and you know that you've always known what you want. You want to be the best, and this is a choice you're taking, and this is the road you're taking, and it's like going like this.
Absolutely.
Again, I'm so grateful for every single sensei I've had, everyone that I've had, because they made me who I am today. They've all kept something special in me. From Tony, working hard. I've worked super hard because Tony was a very, very hard sensei training. Sensei Robert, this man's brain was something else. He thought outside the box, which you didn't see in the karate world, and it was special. And then with Jesus, this guy's a genius. This guy took traditional karate and professional sport, blended it together, and made something special that allowed us to transcend like normal karate athletic abilities, right? So that's where we are now.
And my hope is that Ariel Torres get
Come something up.
all that mix from all the knowledge that you have gained and pass it through hopefully to the next generation.
Little by little, I've been doing that. Just yesterday, I texted Jesus and I was like, let me see, because I don't want to say anything wrong. I don't want to say it wrong. Le dije, hola Jesús, terminamos el training camp, todo fue bien, gracias por todo. Te lo quiero agradecer porque gracias a ti pude compartir con todos estos atletas todo lo que hemos aprendido y pude evolucionar como persona, entrenador y atleta. ¿Sabe? Como que I appreciate everything that he's done. I've been able to teach and guide others in a way I wish I could have been also guided all my life like that. So it was really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Cool story. And like I said earlier, I know when two people are passionate about karate, we can talk for hours, and we can talk for hours. We won't finish. It will be like episode 1 and 2 and part 2, part 3. But one last question is I know we discussed a lot of names that have been influential in your life, but now we talk about coaches. let's talk about competitors. And I know we talk about Antonio Diaz, which, by the way, my respect to Antonio Diaz too, a good friend. And like I say, this world is very small. I competed against Antonio when I was a kid in Venezuela many times. So we have that passion and that knowledge of many athletes around the world. But my question to you is, if you have to say that there was somebody that you really admire and you look up to, and you, when you were younger, right, you were like, oh, I want to be like them, or I want to pass him. Is there maybe a couple names that come to mind?
Antonio was the first one. It's always, everyone wanted to be like Antonio. Whoever told you it didn't, they're lying. Even Kumite people wanted to be like Antonio in some way or another. As a champion, he was the most humble champion, the most wonderful champion. In a way, you look at him. We've had different champions, world champions. We've had after Antonio, we had Cuna, and we had Ali, and next hopefully me. But for example, every world champion has been different. Cuna was very cold, which is very cool, right? Very cool. Like he just won, and it's like, yeah, I won. And then you say, oh, it's because he's Japanese. No, but when Rika won, she was crying like crazy, right? You see what I mean? This is just his personality, and that was very cool. But then you're just like, oh yeah, Cuna won it. You don't have emotion anymore. You watch him win, it's like, yeah, who's gonna win at Cuna? And then when Ali won, it was very special too, because it was like unexpected. It was like, whoa, he won the world championship. Whoa, that's it. But when Antonio won, it was like he had the whole world backing him up. Everyone wanted him to win.
Because he's such a good guy,
Exactly. Everyone wanted him to. It was like all the energy was like, Vamos Antonio. Everyone was like this. When it happened the first time, when it happened the second time, I don't think I've ever seen anyone root against him. You see what I mean, right? Everyone wanted him to win. Eventually, people with Cuna, they're like, there's no emotion. With Ali, it was like, oh, he won. Maybe he got lucky. We don't know, right? All these things like, oh, 0.2. But when Antonio won, no one ever said anything bad. It was like, everyone's like, thank God he won. He deserves it, right? So that's the champion I want to be. And I feel like I'm taking those paths. Like, everyone sees how hard I'm training. Everyone sees all the work I'm doing. Everyone sees I'm not out there doing stupid things. I'm focused on what I want. I feel like people have been able to follow it and they can relate because I was never that good. Now I'm in a point where, yes, I'm okay. I'm doing well. I'm almost there. But 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I wasn't even on the team, right? So I was able to climb. So they can relate. They can do it too. They can do it too. So that's why I want to be a champion like Antonio.
Okay, no, that, yeah, a people's champion, yeah, and hopefully you'll get there soon. Ariel, we know about Antonio. How about, in your opinion, is there any upcoming athletes? I know this is a hard question too, because there are probably a good number of athletes that could come to mind. But if Ariel Torres retires, I'm talking about in a few years or whatever, is there an athlete right now that you see that, I think this kid or this athlete in the future could be a very big name? Is it
From the US or from?
I think in general, anybody that you feel that as a young athlete, anybody come to mind?
Let's talk about skill first, right? Let's talk about skill because then there's more than just skill. There's like the personal life. Are they partying? Are they focused? You know, so in skill, I think one of the best in the world. They're not even a kid. It's Moto Kazumasa, right? But if we ignore those guys from my generation, and let's go into the teens, it's hard. Nope, it has to be in the 20s. Sakichi Abe from Japan.
Okay, Abe from Japan.
He's dangerous. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. He's the one I don't want to go against. He's a friend. He's a very good friend of mine. We've been against each other 4 times. I won 2, he won 2. And example, just in Rabat this year, I faced him in the quarterfinals. I won by 0.1 this time. And then like 30 minutes later, he was in my room eating pizza and French fries. Nice. And we were just talking, sharing karate. He's like, what do I need to fix to beat you? And I was like, dude, shut up. What do you mean? I'm not gonna tell you something like that. And I'm like, you're doing great. And I'm like, what do I need to do? He's like, what would I tell you what you need to do if you already beat me? I was like, yo, tell me. So we do have these karate conversations, me and Sakichi. And it's a really good friendship.
Those are amazing friendships.
And he is dangerous. I would say he is the most dangerous right now. He, in my opinion, is better than a lot of the people in the world. Yes, yes, yes,
Thank you
yes,
for being honest.
yes.
Giving us I know it's a hard question.
Yeah, no, I have to think because I have to be honest because young kids, in the sense of like 16, 17, 18, 19, I don't see it that yet. Maybe because they haven't developed that power and that aggressiveness and they don't have the experience yet because experience is scary. And Abe's young. He doesn't have that experience, but he has everything else. That's why I said he's a dangerous opponent. Yep.
Ariel, one last question. After Ariel retires from competition, how do you want people to remember Ariel Torres? What do you think Ariel Torres' legacy you want it to be? And I know you can probably transition as a coach and all that, but as an athlete, let's say for now, what would you be? What would you would like people to remember about Ariel Torres?
So I was talking about this with my mom. I said I want to be remembered as a legend, and the only way to become a legend is to win for a champion. That's the only way. That's the only way. That's the only way.
That only Ariel Torres will give me.
Yeah, I have to become a champion. So
That's the only answer that Ariel Torres can give me because I know you are a high achiever and you go for everything.
I always tell my mom is like, I'm really happy where I am right now in this position where I am. I'm number 2 in the world. And then I wasn't. I was like, I don't like to be number 2, but I wasn't number 2. And then I started to climb, and then I'm like, oh, I'm at number 2 now, and it feels nice, like I'm here. I don't have the stress of being number 1. And then I sat with my mom and I was like, Juan, no me gusta segundo lugar. I don't like second place.
Now I'm ready.
When I told her I don't want to lose ever again. Like I want to win world champion. Like the next time I win, whenever I beat, when the day I defeat Kakeru is the day I don't lose ever again. That's when it's gonna happen, right? I don't know if it's gonna happen now. God willing, it happens. But the day I win once, I won't lose ever again until the last kata I do. That's what we talked about, and that's how it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be.
Absolutely, and you are super capable of it. But I want you to know, I'm sure you are aware of it. Many people will tell you what you have accomplished is just simply amazing, right? A kid, I know your background, a kid from a humble family, from immigrant family. You have accomplished so many things. So world titles are amazing, but what you've done is just you have to be proud of it, and I hope you know that.
Thank you. I'm just busy looking up now. That's the thing. I'm just busy looking up because you have to keep walking forward.
Now this is the time to do it for you. You have to look up and don't look any other way.
When we talk, I start to remember these things, right? Because now I have to look back and remember and that. But I've been so busy looking forward, focus on next, on more. This has been very special to stop for a moment and think back on how we got here. So thank you for the opportunity.
No problem, no problem. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and we wish you the best of luck. And everybody in the karate community is cheering for you. Us. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you.